Welcome to Boy Time Podcast. We're gonna get litty time, yeah. Oh, it's your Boy Time Podcast. Coming in with the slam dunk of a theme song.
Hi ho ho, it's me, Greg Sestero, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. And as always, I'm joined by Babby. We actually have a pretty big week. We had a lot of news. A lot of news came out. Movie news. We got a lot of show news. I think a lot of that was tied to the Oscars did happen this week, so there was a bunch of trailers that premiered during the Oscars. We aren't going to be talking about The Little Mermaid because who cares? But there was a trailer for the new Little Mermaid that was released during that time, among other things that we are going to be talking about. And there was also a decent amount of gaming news and some pretty big gaming things, I would say, which is pretty exciting, I would say. But as always, we'll start with gaming news. We'll start off, I think last week we briefly touched on the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. There was a big ol' like a 13-minute gameplay thing that they did in a PlayStation Direct. And there was a lot of backlash to it. Myself kind of included. I don't think my hopes were especially high for Suicide Squad game, but I know, surprising. But I mean, I liked the James Gunn movie, but this game was in development before that movie came out, so I don't know. But I am a fan of Rocksteady and their Arkham trilogy, so I was willing to give it a shot. But it seems like that this is going to be another like live service battle pass thing, like Gotham Knights is, which I think people were very upset about. And it was announced, I think it was supposed to come out like relatively soon, within the next couple of months, and it has been delayed until later this year. So it's still coming out this year. We don't have a date for it now, but yeah, they delayed it due to fan backlash, which I feel like you never see. Studios don't usually pull games because people don't like it. I guess this is a Sonic situation. I guess, I don't know. I didn't see as much backlash as there was to the Sonic movie, but I guess some people cared about it. DC fans, I guess, cared about it, which is
like 3 people.
3 people, yeah. Which, speaking of DC fans, we were retweeted by a DC fan bot
That's awesome.
this week. Because I tweeted something that related to the Oscars, but I made it like sound like a Restore the Snyderverse post. And it was just like, how the frick did Avatar 2 not win Best Picture? And now it's some like stupid 2-bit Reddit humor movie. And then I just ended it with hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. And then we got picked up by
That's awesome.
a DC
We
tweet bot.
infiltrated the ranks.
I thought about responding to the tweet and just saying like Batman versus Superman is legitimately one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Not yet.
Not yet. Truth be told, I was going through that account and they retweet so many people I couldn't even find the tweet. Like a couple hours later, there was like pages and pages of. So my guess is that this account just retweets every single Restore the Snyderverse tweet. But yeah, because my tweet had nothing to do with Zack Snyder except for the hashtag. So maybe I should just end every single one of my tweets with hashtag Restore the Snyderverse, and maybe I get more clout that way. So, but yeah, I guess that's it for DC news. There's nothing else we're going to be talking about. But speaking of, I guess, dead franchises, we got A new RoboCop game. I don't know.
Great.
Yeah, it's called RoboCop Rogue City. It's coming out in September of this year. The trailer looks pretty decent. I don't think we know much about the game itself, but if anyone has seen the original RoboCop, you know that like if they make a game of this movie, you gotta make it really really gory and way over the top, because that's the whole shtick of the original movie. Paul Verhoeven, I feel like he's the Squib King, so you gotta make it really gory and over the top. And the trailer did look very over the top. Which I mean, yeah. I don't know how it really I don't know how it plays in this political climate, just because the trailer was RoboCop like breaking down someone's door and then killing everybody inside, which I feel like happens all the time in real life, and cops aren't usually robots.
I mean,
Not
Call
yet.
of Duty had you like work as a private military person and then go into random people's houses and shoot a family. So
That's true. And that's a very commercial game.
yeah,
I don't know.
sponsored by the military too.
Oh, good. I don't know if this game is going to continue to be a satire on law enforcement like RoboCop is. I would maybe guess
I'd imagine so.
I would guess so. Paul,
That's kind of the whole crux of the series. Then I feel like they'd stick to that.
well, I feel like all his movies are very like anti. I mean, he made Starship Troopers, so he is very anti-military, anti-law enforcement. He's just, but he loves his over-the-top action. So you gotta make it about police or military, so that you can just shoot people up. But yeah, I don't know. It looked promising. So there might be some potential here. I don't know. We'll see. We got a official release date for Starfield this week, the new Bethesda IP. It's officially coming out September 6th of this year. So we still got 6 months to go. A little unfortunate, but fine, I guess. It's still probably going to be buggy, but I guess maybe at this point it won't be unplayable in September. Or maybe it will. Who knows? I have no idea what a modern Bethesda game is going to be after the whole Fallout 76 fiasco. So,
Time will tell.
yeah, I guess we'll see on September 6th. We're apparently getting a dedicated, I don't know if it's going to be a dedicated Xbox Direct or whatever, but it is going to be a sizable detail dump on us, and that's going to be on June 11th, which is right around when E3 and everything is happening, so that's probably just going to be in Xbox's big thing for the summer, and I guess for the year. So there you go. There wasn't like a whole bunch of like gameplay or anything released alongside with it. It was a lot of footage of people working in the office. So it's like, all right. We got to see some models on TV, on a couple people's monitors. So pretty neat, I guess. And then the last bit of gaming news is, of course, The Last of Us ended this week. We're going to be talking about that. But Neil Druckmann has been doing some interviews and stuff now that the show is over. He was asked about what the new Naughty Dog game is going to be. And he says, quote, "The decision has already been made. I can't say what it is, but we just picked the thing we were most excited for." So, I don't know. I don't think this is about The Last of Us factions or whatever the multiplayer game is going to be.
Probably not.
But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it's not a Uncharted game. I don't care. I would love a new Jack and Daxter game if they just, because they've really been doing their like photorealistic games, really pushing the boundaries of what that can look like. I would love to see them go back to their more cartoony roots. Do something with that. Just don't make it look like that Conker's Bad Fur Day remake, where it's like, oh, let's take these N64 graphics and make them look real on an Xbox 360, and it's like, this just looks gross. It looks good.
That was the thing at the time.
It was the thing.
Just photorealize everything.
It doesn't work.
Not well either.
No, no, it doesn't look good. I think it's called Conquer Live and Reloaded. So if you want to look up some images, you'll be disappointed. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm very excited for what Naughty Dog's got cooking. It's been 2 years since The Last of Us 2-ish. I think it's about time we hear something from them. I guess it's been like 4 years for Rockstar since Red Dead 2, but we know what they're making next. We don't know what Naughty Dog's got. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's a lot of gaming news is just, okay, well, we'll see what happens. We're pushing stuff out. So that's a little unfortunate, but, whatever. Gaming news is kind of slow these days.
CSGO 2 was still coming, I think.
Has it been officially announced yet?
There's been some random firestorms where people see they're updating things, so I mean, I think it's like 99% confirmed at this point. They just haven't officially announced it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. There's already executable files in this next update. So it sounds like it's
it should be coming very soon.
Yeah,
I
Nvidia's.
still don't know if it's gonna be a standalone game or if it's gonna be like a major update, but
I don't know. Okay, so Nvidia. I think this is what we reported on last week, or what you reported on, was that it was in like the Nvidia driver update that there was a CSGO 2 or CS2.exe found in the Nvidia driver update, which is not always super reliable, because Nvidia drivers like famously, like there was a leak that came out like 5 years ago that was like, there was like a Fallout 5 and a like GTA 6, and it's like that was like way before any of those games were even being worked on. I don't think Fallout 5 is even, it might be worked on now.
That might have been like 76, but I don't know.
Maybe it was 76 and that was
placeholder.
What a placeholder. So yes, but
there's been other stuff.
Yes,
too,
Valve has
yeah.
I think they, let's see. Well, it's anonymous sources at Valve have said, but
there's stuff about like the Steamworks things being updated and stuff too. So there's a whole bunch of like little tiny leaks that people are grabbing onto. So we'll see.
Well, that would be pretty good if we're getting Source 2 128
I think everybody
tick.
needs a good FPS game, so I think everybody's just waiting.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we need some new Valve stuff. I think that's just really what we need. Because Alex is great. I would love to see what they're doing with Counter-Strike 2. I doubt they're doing. It's not gonna be like a whole different game. Not that like. Because, like, Source and 1.6 and Go aren't, like, drastically different. It's just better graphics and how it feels. Yeah. So, it'll probably be good, hopefully. I don't feel like Valve is...
It better be. People will, like, destroy them if it isn't. Or if it
Right.
turns out to be a card game or something.
No, I don't think they would do that. With Dota 2, it makes sense.
True. You mean you don't want to be counter-terrorist number 1?
I don't.
And your like little Pokemon card that you play with?
Well, I think the whole reason they made Artifact is because Hearthstone is such a big thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of makes sense. There's precedent there. It would be weird. Like, it would almost even make more sense for Valorant to do that because their operators have
Yeah,
different,
exactly.
are at least recognizable and are named. CS:GO is
Not
just
just
random
random
SWAT
people.
guy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Now they have
technically,
characters, but they're still not like
yeah.
known.
Like, yeah, well, there are. I forgot they did add where you can change your character model. But still, it's like Sergeant Wilson. It's like, okay, just a different guy.
I am wondering if they're gonna drop the terrorist and counter-terrorist roles because I know like a lot of schools won't do Counter-Strike esports because of that. So I'm
Maybe.
wondering. I feel like they should do that now that they actually have
Yeah.
competition in this market.
True, true. I don't know what they would do because I feel like what makes Counter Strike different from Valorant is I don't want to say it's realism, but like it is set in a somewhat realistic setting.
It's just like super like, strip back. Like
Yeah.
here's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like dripping with like the social commentary needed to deal with terrorism in a actual way. It's just
No.
a too bad,
It's just a label
two
for-
different sides.
Yeah.
And really, the only difference is gameplay, which is a format that works really, really well. I will say that. The bomb defusal mode is probably the best, which is why Valorant ripped it off.
Exactly.
So nobody wants to push a car down a road.
Exactly.
People just
That's
wanna-
not fun.
it's not
Payload
fun.
game modes are always like so fun. It's so fun. You just have to like stand on this thing constantly.
It's the worst, and nobody does it.
Yeah.
People just want to shoot each other. Nobody wants to sit near a box. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's promising. There's definitely potential in a Counter-Strike 2. Because it's starting to feel its age. Isn't it like 10 years old at this point?
More than that. I think
More?
it came out in 2012 or 2011, one of the two.
That
I think
sounds
beta was
about right.
2011.
CSGO.
People have 10-year coins. I know that.
Well, that's true. August 21st, 2012.
Yeah.
It's publicly released on all platforms except Linux.
Hell,
Get on Linux users.
you'd have to like type in 37 lines of code just to like get the Steam launcher up to launch that game. So
That's true. Well, it's on Linux. It was released on September 23rd, 2014. So they have not hit 10 years. Those Penguin boys. But everyone else has. So,
they're gonna wait till the Linux 10th anniversary to drop it.
probably. Well, it sounds like it's like... I mean, and everything I've seen for it is that the beta is potentially releasing this month.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't know if that's true, but...
We are halfway through the month, so
We are halfway through the month. I haven't heard anything, but actually, I don't think Valve is one of those. It's just like, hey, guys, beta
it's never
coming
been
out
like that
this
for CS:GO
weekend.
updates. Like CS:GO updates always just drop randomly.
That's true.
There's no time for it either. Sometimes it's like 9 p.m., sometimes it's 3 a.m. Like it just randomly comes out.
And it's not like on a specific day either.
No,
Yeah,
they always kept us guessing with updates.
which is the way to do it, I think.
It is kind of fun.
Keeps
Yeah.
it, it's like, oh, when's it coming out? And when it comes out, it's actually a surprise.
Mhm.
Where it's not like, oh, it's a
Most of the
Tuesday,
time.
and it's been 6 months since the last one. Oh, here it is. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I'm excited. We'll have to try it out. We'll move on to show news, I suppose. We have some exciting show news, I would say. We got a official release date for The Bear Season 2. Well, not a release date. It's coming out in June. We don't know when. But The Bear is a fantastic TV show. I was rewatching it this week because I was flipping through everything and I couldn't... I usually watch funny ha-has Like, I've been watching Always Sunny, and I've been going back to Tim and Eric, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll check out my other favorite comedy series, The Bear, because that's what the Golden Globes and the Emmys labeled it as. I'm like 5 episodes in, and I've not laughed. It is just very stressful. I don't know why they labeled it a comedy, because they're crazy. But I'm very excited for season 2. I'm kind of hoping that this is a show that maybe has 1 or 2 seasons and then stops, like a Succession or Barry, I suppose. They got to 4. But I think the first season almost works like a limited series. But I guess they're doing another one, so we'll see. The little trailer ended with the beef like closed, which I'm sure is a misdirect or something. I don't know. So that's exciting. We also got a release date for I Think You Should Leave season 3. Great show. Great show. That's May 30th. So we got a couple months for that one, but that is maybe one of the best sketch comedy shows that has come out in recent years. Tim Robinson is a funny guy. Watch the Bad Grandpa one, the one where he's in a latex suit pranking people, like in Jackass or something.
Or like in Bad Grandpa.
Or like in Bad Grandpa. I mean, wasn't Bad Grandpa in Jackass before it was his own movie?
I think so.
I don't know. I have not seen a single Jackass movie, nor Bad Grandpa. But yeah, watch the show before it comes out, because it's worth it. I reference Calico Cut Pants all the time. There's this bit in that sketch that makes me laugh like really, really hard, because like, and it has nothing to do with the actual sketch. It could have just been a sketch in its own right, or just like a little transition thing. But it's just like at the end of every single conversation this guy has, he like yells like down the hall if someone's like opening a door. He's like, hold that door, hold that door, hold that door. And then he just like slowly walks all the way down the hall to get in the door. And they just hold on it for like 30 seconds, and it makes me laugh really hard. So please watch the show. It's very good. Plus, sometimes they get celebrity guests like Tim Heidecker or Bob Odenkirk. Tim Heidecker's in it twice.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, his one in Tim's sketch in season 2 was like one of my favorites. But Bob Odenkirk's one in season 2 is also one of my favorites. So it's stiff competition. They got some good people on there, and Tim Robinson's great. So watch the show. It's on Netflix. And then we got news on that Batman Caped Crusader show. The show that was going to be made by HBO Max, and they released a poster, and it looks really, really cool. I love the art style. Very gothic. And HBO Max canceled it because they don't like animated things anymore. Them and Netflix just canceled all their animated things. And now Amazon is going to be making it. They have ordered 2 seasons of the series. So there's going to be 2 seasons of Batman Caped Crusader on Amazon. No release window or anything. This is all just behind the scenes. But Amazon won the bidding war, because I think it was going to go between Netflix and Amazon. So obviously Amazon's going to win. And I don't know why Netflix was bidding for it, because they'd probably cancel it after 1 season. I'm kind of glad Amazon got it, because at least Invincible, they got that. And that's a show that they are continuing to make that is animated. So they at least somewhat value animation. I don't know. Which, by the way, I saw Netflix like posted a thing with Guillermo del Toro, because like he's been saying like animation is not just a kids, it's not just for kids. It's a medium. It's a genre. And Netflix like retweeted a bunch of things. It was like, "Oh, listen to Guillermo. Animation is not for kids. It's a medium." And then people like, "What? Netflix? You cannot be saying this right now because you cancel all of your animated things." Inside Job had like, I guess it had 2 seasons, but it was 2 parts of 1 season.
On part 2.
Yeah, they were going to have an official season 2, and then they canceled it. It's like, why you gotta cancel all the good animated shows? But Big Mouth is like on season 7 or something. So, a little unfortunate, but yeah. So that is it for show news. Exciting stuff. And now it is time for our final Last of Us discussion, at least until season 2 comes out in 5
7
years. Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do that, but let's talk about the finale. I think it's Look for the Light, this episode was called. What did you think of Look for the Light?
It was so close to the game, it was scary.
Yes.
I think this is the most faithful episode besides the first one, I think. Probably the first one. The first one had a lot of similarities, but there was differences. I feel like this is just the most clear cut, besides like the opening thing.
Yeah,
that was
that's
pretty
different.
much exactly how the game played out, and I thought it was done really well. I think it's actually stronger in the show than it is in the game,
I
because
would
in the
agree.
game you're just like, I'm Joel and I'm murdering people, like,
Right.
but you're also kind of disconnected to like all the story beats that have happened so far, because there's hours of gameplay in between these like big story events.
Yes.
So it's like, I feel like the show does it so much better, where it's like Joel is like clearly in the wrong in this episode, and I feel like more people are gonna like see that, instead of like in the game where you're like, oh, give me back Ellie, let me just murder all of these people.
Which, I mean, like, I think what makes it a little bit different in the game is that you did just literally do that with the
Yeah.
cannibals. So it's like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Fireflies, oh, well, I mean, whatever. It's just
One and
another group
Yeah.
that I'm going to have to save Ellie from. But I thought that the show did a great job of like, yes, Joel was clearly wrong in doing this. And I really loved, like, it was like halfway through, there was just like a close up of some random guy's face, and he had like a bullet hole through his cheek. Like, yes, please. I wanted more of that. Like, show the carnage and the destruction. That was something that I said before this episode came out, where it's like this show has been, I mean, it's like gone out of its way to not be super violent. But it's like in this episode, you need that, because
Exactly.
that's how you show that. But yeah, no, I thought it fantastic. Loved it. Love the ending. I mean, it's the same as the game, but
I just felt like the weight was there a lot more.
Yes.
I felt like it was so justified in the way that they did it. Yeah, even just like the way that he like did not flinch when the he just shot at the doctor in the face, like the only person who's capable of like doing that right now. He just did
Right.
it without hesitation. And I'm like, yep, that, like, I felt the pain and like anger of that moment much more in the show than I did in the game.
yes,
I'm like, that is the most selfish thing like someone could do.
oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, I just thought the show really played with those story beats so much better. And I think it is just because there wasn't gameplay in between to like shroud that.
Right.
I think when you play as Joel too, your perspective is automatically skewed, so it's a
Right.
little difficult in the game to pick that up initially.
Yeah, I think there's that disconnect always where it's like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be doing the thing that I'm doing in this video game. Well, I'm sure there's a debate. Like, I'm some people like legitimately think that Joel was in the right. I don't know if I want to talk to those people.
people are libertarian.
But I also saw, like, today after I watched the finale, like, I saw a video of like some guy playing the game, and during that part where it's just like, I'm not gonna let you take her, he just pulls out the flamethrower and he's just like talking to his Twitch chat
Yeah.
as he's just like burning all of these
Yeah, exactly.
people alive. So there's that disconnect where it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, Almost like having no say in what happens almost makes it hit harder, which I thought was really well done.
Yeah, I also kind of like the Ashley Johnson thing at the beginning. I'm like, oh, that is definitely Ashley Johnson.
Oh no, yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
it
that was
sounded
for
just
sure
like
her.
Ellie.
Um, yeah, I mean, I like the scene quite a bit. Like as an addition, I feel like it didn't need to be included, but I felt like it was a cool little nod. Now that Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker have been in the first season, which is cool.
And Laura Bailey was in this episode. I don't know if you caught it.
I did not.
She is one of the nurses in the
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't even recognize her.
Well, she was wearing a mask and
Yeah.
a hat, so she's not as
Interesting.
yeah, but she was in it, yeah.
Huh. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. So just like cool little Easter egg stuff. I mean, sure, it's like more like lore focused at that point. It doesn't really add much to the story. There's like a little cool story beat thing there with just the way that they explain like how the vaccine would work. I feel like in the show you didn't get that where it's like, oh, this is why we think that she's immune. And they showed that at the beginning, so it just connects a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it
Actually
worked.
made the vaccine feel more like feasible
Right.
than the game did. The game felt like it was very 50-50.
It's like, yeah, there's some, it grows in her head, and if we take it out, then we're going to be able to administer a vaccine. I was
Yeah,
like,
that's like all they
how
could
do you
do.
administer a vaccine for like a fungus? Like, I don't think
Yeah.
that's how that works. But like the way they explain it in the show is like, oh,
Oh, that
okay.
sounds correct. I mean, that
I don't know anything about mycology, but it sounds more
but it
feasible.
sounds more, yeah.
Yeah, than just it's a vaccine. We can cure people, Joel. Like, okay.
I am gonna miss Marlene though, because it was wild, like just seeing how similar Marlene is from the game to the show, because it's the same person. It was
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just always trippy when she's on screen.
Yeah, I mean, that's what like with The Last of Us 2, I was like kind of hoping that they would just have Ashley Johnson play Ellie in Last of Us 2, but they can't do that now.
No.
That would be a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, I
So-
feel like there'd have to be a lot of like makeup and stuff for that to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just because like she doesn't really share any facial features with Bella Ramsey,
No,
so I
she
feel like you need to
doesn't.
have some kind of continuity now with aging. So I'll be interested to see who they get to play Ellie in season 2,
Yeah.
and
or will
apparently
they just wait?
season 2 and 3, since they're gonna be splitting it up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Neil Druckmann said, that they aren't going to be able to fit all of the events in Last of Us 2 in one season. So they are going to be doing a couple seasons. I'm sure
Honestly,
HBO is
cool
very
with that.
happy about.
Yeah, I mean, besides just obviously stretching it out, I feel like this could actually be better for the story. Just because I feel like there's a lot of nuances and little things in the story that like are kind of overshadowed again by gameplay
Yes.
in the second part. So I feel like they can do a lot. There's also like weird like little time jumps. Like we don't get like a lot of like her and Dina going to Seattle. It's kind of like they take a horse and then all of a sudden like they're
They're
there.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, you can't have, like, because The Last of Us 1 is just the getting there. It's like, you can't have, like, all of the events of The Last of Us 1 and then all of the events in The Last of Us 2. So, but I get that complaint that I think Dunkey said that it just feels like they're fast traveling everywhere.
Right.
It's just like, oh, they're in Seattle. Oh, they're back in Jackson. Oh, they're in Santa Barbara. It's just like, oh, okay. It took Joel like he had to fight tooth and nail to get anywhere.
And they're just strolling around.
Yeah, they're just on their horse talking about just random stuff. But yeah, I was thinking about that even before this was announced that it was going to be taking place over a couple seasons. It's like if you try to fit just the events of The Last of Us 2 in one season, you might be able to get all the Seattle stuff, both sides of it, but there's no way you're going to be getting those flashbacks. And if I can't see the freaking
Flashbacks, they need to be there.
the museum needs
Yes.
to be there. That's all I'm going to say. The other ones are good too. But that museum one
That was the best
is
one.
is the best. It's the best, which they should probably film like right now.
Yeah, I'm imagining they'll probably film that stuff earlier because there is quite a bit of flashbacks in that game.
Yeah,
They're all very important too. So
and like the museum one, it doesn't like Ellie's about the same age. She might be like a year older than she is in the first Last of Us. Which I mean, the flashbacks are fantastic, and that they show her growing up. Like it's like feels like it's like 1 year apart, and it doesn't feel like they just like reuse the kid model, and then there's like the adult model. It's
right.
like she gradually grows up, and you're seeing that. You're seeing her grow up in all these different stories that happen. So it's like I feel like you gotta have those flashbacks because that, especially Ellie's. Abby's are important, but like the whole crux of The Last of Us 2 is the I don't know. I guess it's been long enough that whatever. But like the whole crux is this conflict between Ellie and Joel because of the ending of the first one, and like throughout the entire game you don't get it. Like all 3 days of Seattle that you play through, you just see their relationship get worse and worse until the end. She's like, I don't want to see you ever again. And it isn't until like literally the last cutscene in the game where you get the entire thing. So I like the flashbacks are super important to how the story goes. So like I feel like you got to do that, and I feel like having another season is gonna really help. And I don't know how I would feel about Ellie's season and Abby's season, which I feel like is how they might split it up.
That'd be interesting. I don't know. I feel like that'd be controversial.
I think it would too. I think that well, I mean the second game is controversial, so I don't think
True.
they're too scared to
No, yeah.
jump back in that. But I feel like that would almost make the most sense if you're trying to capture how the narrative felt in the second game.
That's true. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like they already set it up pretty good though, because like even just like the little bit where they stopped and talked, and like Joel was like, after Sarah died, like I had no reason to keep going, and he just like
Right.
started like outraging, and that's gonna be very pivotal in the second season, obviously. So I like that they're already implanting themes of the second season, because then it's not gonna come off as like drastic that some people thought it was.
Right.
Or like stupid. I feel like there was again an emotional disconnect because everybody was just like freaking out over a character death in The Last of Us 2 and not actually paying attention to the story. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I
I
don't know.
feel
I think
like
it's going to translate a lot better.
no, and I feel like it's gonna be pretty G-dang seamless because like
Yeah.
a lot of, I mean, the show really felt like The Last of Us 1 if it was made after The Last of Us 2.
Yep.
Because I mean, like we even talked about this when it happened, but like the Kansas City stuff, like having this faction that isn't just a nameless raider faction that you fight in Pittsburgh. It's just like you see their side, you kind of understand. It's like that is the whole thing with Last of Us 2 is playing all these different sides of the story, and how it's just morally gray. The whole thing is just morally gray. Which is, I feel like this show is extremely morally gray.
Yeah. But it's portrayed in a way that not everything feels blah.
No. No, there's hope. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that you gotta do. When you're doing anything that has to do with a subject matter so dark, you have to have some light in it. Otherwise, it's just gross. Like, I don't. I guess I'll compare this to a film, The Whale. That movie is so emotionally devastating. There's like not a single good thing that happens to the main character, but there is like the whole time he's working on, reaching out to people in his life and rekindling relationships. So it's very, very sad, and everything, you know, the ending. Um, it's just straight up said in like the first 5 minutes, where it's like you're not gonna be alive by the end of the week, and then it's just counting the days, and you
Hmm.
just see him get worse and worse and worse. So like that is just, oh, it's getting worse, but like his life is actually getting kind of better. Like as he's getting worse physically, he's kind of improving his life with his kids, or well, kid, and like some of the strangers that he's met. So it's like you need to have that hope. Anytime you do anything super depressing, which this show was very depressing at the end. Watching Joel do a oopsie massacre was very hard to watch intentionally. But
Intentionally.
yeah, there's that. I always find it funny whenever people like I watched the like making of this episode after, and Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann were like, it's a story about love. I'm like, I guess it's like there's so many other ways to tell stories about love, and you took like the saddest one.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Craig Mazin said like there's a lot of things that show like the light side of love, where it's like feeling good and all that stuff, but this episode in particular showed the dark side of it, where it's like being willing to do anything for the people that you love and care about. It's like yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and I was more willing to say this in the game, not as much in the show, but the show really did a good job of showing how horrible these actions were. But like when I played the game, it was like,
It's kind of
yeah,
understated.
it's understated, and they're just nameless people, whatever, except for Marlene, but you don't have any agency there. It's a cutscene.
True.
But in the game, it's like, yeah, he made the wrong choice, but like I don't know if that was my daughter. I don't know if I would do any different. The show made it was like I don't know if I would. I don't know. I don't think I'm that soulless. I don't know if I would have the heart to
God,
just
no.
murder all those
It's not even an
people.
option at that point.
No, but it's one of those things where it's like I don't know. There is that. Well, it's like you kind of see where he's coming from, even though it's like he's taken it to the extreme, and
Well, they do a good job, like, showing Sarah at the beginning, and then like him like being so scared and having panic attacks in that Jackson episode, because like he feels like he's gonna fail this thing, and then actually failing in the last episode. So it's like all of this is like you can see where he's coming from, even though it is like objectively wrong in this case.
yes, again, uh, morally gray. This whole thing,
Yep.
and it's seeing all these different aspects to everything. It's so good. It's so good, but oh man, it was hard to watch. So, yeesh. But yeah, that is. Do you have any thoughts about the series as a whole now that the entire first season has come out?
I thought it was fantastic. Probably better than my expectations. I thought it was gonna be pretty good once like we got casting and everything. But yeah, it turned out really good. I think they definitely like heightened certain stories that they weren't able to tell in game form, and that made for like the best moments in the show.
Yeah.
Probably just because like those are moments we haven't seen before, since we both played the games multiple times.
Right.
But yeah, I just feel like it was translated really well. Like the characters are definitely more humanized in the show. They all at least have like personality traits, and they're not just nameless faces. Even someone like David had like morals and guides, like in the game that wasn't brought up as much.
Yeah.
So I feel like everybody kind of had their own little thing going on. So I don't know. I just thought it was super well done. I'm very interested in the second season. This is going to be like a lot more of a in-depth thing, I think, in the second season, just because of how complicated the story is.
Yes. It almost makes me like want Neil Druckmann to like make a movie or something.
Mm.
I mean, not that. You know what? Actually, keep making games because he's making like the best games.
True. Stay in your lane for now.
I like that's the kind of thing where it's like I've heard people say like Kojima should stop making games and maybe should just make movies because
I think a Kojima movie would just be a David Lynch movie.
it probably would. But that I almost agree with because I feel like the gameplay in Kojima games are almost always like the weakest part, except in maybe Metal Gear Solid 5. But like he's the weirdest guy imaginable. I feel like Death Stranding as a movie would play a lot better than Death Stranding as a game, at least to me. I don't know. I mean, I think he even calls his projects like Hideo Kojima, like a film by Hideo Kojima, whatever. So I could see that, but like Druckmann, he does a great job of combining like gameplay and a really really compelling story. And I recognize
Last
that
of Us 2's case, very good gameplay.
yes, I recognize he's not like the gameplay director who would be in charge of all of that, but just being a game director, you have to be. I mean, you have to have your hand in all pots, so to say. But yeah, no. Honestly, whatever he wants to do, because I don't know how involved he was in the show. I know he's like a co-creator. I think he might have directed one episode, if I remember right. I'm sure he co-wrote some stuff. I mean, a lot of the script was just taken straight from the game. Especially the last 3 episodes, I feel like there was a lot of stuff that was just ripped straight from the game and put in the show. So, yeah, very good stuff. I think we're both going to be keeping our eyes on what Druckmann does next. I mean, he's like the CEO of like Naughty Dog now. So I don't know how involved he's going to be. He's kind of become the Todd Howard of Naughty Dog. So I don't know what that means. I guess we'll see. There's not been a game that's come out since he's gotten that title, so we'll see. Kind of like James Gunn getting the DC stuff. It's like, I really like you as a creator, but like as an executive, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So, yeah, good stuff. Go see The Last of Us if you haven't. We just spoiled the entire thing. And the second one, kind of. But it's still worth a watch, I think. It's a masterclass in acting. Also, the zombie special effects, some of the best I've seen. Like, the clickers were fantastic.
And they got a real giraffe, so.
They did get a real giraffe. So that's always a plus. So, yeah. Not quite as good as Train to Busan, but it's up there. It's up there for sure.
It's not even really like a zombie show.
It isn't. It isn't.
It's just kind of the subplot of it, which is kind of nice, actually.
It was more of a thing in like the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But like by the time, by the time they get to Jackson, there really isn't a whole lot of zombies. But it's good stuff. Good stuff. I like the bloater, even though I'm pretty sure that was pretty much all CGI. I know they had a guy in a suit, but yeah. So, there you go. Watch the show. It's pretty good. Let's move on to movie news. Got a lot of movie news. And then we're going to have to talk about the Oscars, which I should probably pull those up. Ew. Actually, this is like the most based Oscar awards probably ever.
That you can get for an Oscar.
Yeah.
Which is not based at all.
No, but we'll get into that.
Not as many white people on this thing.
No, No, but there's one white person that definitely shouldn't have won, but we'll talk about that.
True, but yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. First of all, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there is going to be a remake of The Room. Yes, and I think what's most important, if you're going to remake The Room, you gotta honestly don't. But if you're gonna do it, it's like, who's gonna play Tommy? You need someone charismatic. You need someone a little crazy. Maybe get Gary Busey. He'd be a great Tommy Wiseau. They got Bob Odenkirk.
Oh my god.
And he's been on Twitter saying, like, I played it completely straight. Like, I am not doing the voice. I am trying to legitimately do the performance that Tommy was going to. So they are remaking this movie. It's for charity. It's for AIDS research. It's being put together by actor Brando Crawford, who is like the founder of like Acting for a Cause. I think this is like the first big thing they've done. But it's also made by Greg Sestero, who was, of course, Mark in The Room. Very important character, played by David Franco and the Disaster Artist. So, yes, it seems it's real. Apparently, it's mostly shot on green screen, which I think The Room was mostly shot on green screen too. So it works. And the only other casting we have is that Mike Flanagan is going to be playing Peter, who's the guy with glasses.
Let's go.
Mike Flanagan is like he's like the Ari Aster of gothic horror, where he's like taken this like genre that's more or less dead. Like Ari Aster did this with elevated horror. Mike Flanagan's doing this gothic horror thing. Like, he made Haunting of Hill House. He's he's like behind the scenes. He's a director and writer of horror television, and he's going to be playing Peter. So it seems like it's just going to be a bunch of people in the industry kind of having a good time. So, hey, I'll take it. And I'd love to see Bob Odenkirk be a Johnny, I suppose, in the film. So, yes, we have that to look forward to. I don't know when it's going to come out. I don't know. I doubt it's going to get released in theaters. You probably have to like rent it on something, or maybe they'll sell it to Roku or something, like that Weird Al movie. I don't know. So, there you go. If you get excited, I suppose. Next, we in disappointing news, I suppose, filming has wrapped on a new Exorcist movie. Yeah, very exciting. It's 50 years since the first one came out. They decided it's due for another entry. Yeah, they tried this already. Technically, The Exorcist is a trilogy. There's 3 movies that came out. But it's a trilogy in the same way that, like, there's 2 American Psycho movies, where the studio was making a movie, and then they're like, hey, it's kind of like that Exorcist movie. Let's just call it Exorcist 2. Well, Exorcist 2 was actually Exorcist 2. But Exorcist 3 is just like a random movie that they called The Exorcist 3 and has nothing to do with anything having to do with The Exorcist. So they're doing a new trilogy. And it's going to be put together by David Gordon Green, who directed the most recent Halloween trilogy. Which, if you know anything about the new Halloween trilogy, is that it was all over the place. And the second one was awful. The first one, from what I can tell, I'm not a huge Halloween guy, but from Halloween fans I've seen, the first one was okay. The second one was really, really bad. And then the third one didn't do enough fan service for fans, but was actually pretty interesting. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to watch it. I I would consider the first Exorcist movie to be one of the best horror movies of all time. I know some people see it these days and think it doesn't age very well. Um, I mean, it's I don't know. It's just one of those that's very, very compelling to a guy like me. A real religious nut, this guy. So,
Catholic.
I'm a Catholic. I'm actually a
Devout.
Jehovah's Witness.
Oh.
I'm going to knock on your door. So get ready. So, yeah, pretty good. Well, I mean, the first Exorcist is pretty good. I'm not looking forward to this new trilogy, but whatever. It'll be fun things that movie YouTube will make fun of, and I will enjoy that content. So, I guess that works. Speaking of movies I'm not excited for, Chloe Zhao is getting ready to make a new flick. Chloe Zhao made the hit film Nomadland and Eternals. I think those are her two movies. I hated Nomadland. I know it won Best Picture. I hated that movie. And Eternals, you couldn't pay me enough money to watch that. Whatever. That seems like it's a low point in Marvel Phase 4, which is already pretty low. But she is writing a script for a futuristic sci-fi western of Dracula.
Yay.
That just sounds bad. I don't know what to tell you. Stay in your lane. Make a Cowboy Bebop or make Dracula. But I guess at this point there's been so many Dracula movies that it's like, what do you even do? It's like, are you going to go Bela Lugosi Dracula, like 30s Dracula? You're going to do Nosferatu, which I guess Robert Eggers is already doing that. Are you going to go Bram Stoker's Dracula, like Francis Ford Coppola did in the 90s? Make it super authentic to the book? I guess option D, and she's going to make it a sci-fi western.
I'm going with the Hotel Transylvania route.
Oh, do that one. I forget that there is a Hotel Transylvania.
3 of them, in fact.
A lot of them, yeah. Got a real Hungarian man, Adam Sandler. Wait.
Wait, no, it's who is it? Is it Adam Sandler?
I think it's Adam Sandler.
Or is it Ben Stiller? One of the two.
Let me see. Hotel Transylvania Dracula. That's awesome. What does he say? Jonathan,
you are dating my daughter.
Yes, it's played by Adam Sandler in films 1 through 3. Congratulations.
Hooray.
So, yeah, I think you gotta go for option E. Put him in a spaceship. I don't know. I might watch it just because it sounds so weird. But I'm not really a fan of her. So, but the Chloe Zhao fans are probably going crazy right now. They're eating good. They're out there somewhere. I don't know. Speaking of someone I am a fan of, I'm gonna sound like such a douchebag because I just dunked on this like feminist director, and I'm gonna be talking about Tarantino.
You're the most movie bro person ever.
I know. In this one instance, I like get out of here, Chloe Zhao, and your feminist film.
Make room for a real filmmaker like Tarantino.
He gets the social issues done right. I tell you what. I think Tarantino heard the criticism of the last movie where they're like, hey, Sharon Tate did like nothing in the movie. why did you do that? And then Tarantino was like, your hypothesis is incorrect. Next question. He decided to
Such
say
a nerd.
he's a big nerd. But it's his final film, the 10th film. It is going to start filming this fall. It is going to be called The Movie Critic. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood took place in 1969. Is that when the Manson stuff was happening? I think.
Maybe.
Manson. I don't know how to spell it. Manson murders.
I think it was 69, 79, one of those two.
Yes. People also search for the Order of the Solar Temple. Yes. August 8th through 10th, 1969. So that movie took place in 1969. He's going to move it ahead a couple years into the mid to late 70s, Los Angeles, so same place. But this time, and the first time since Kill Bill, it's going to be a female lead.
There will only be 7-foot scenes.
Hopefully.
I can hope. I
we
would be
can
down
hope.
like 3 from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So
There's two big ones.
yeah,
Tell you
and
that.
they're very long.
They're very long and they're very obvious that's what he's doing.
Yes.
To the point where I think when I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like people were groaning in the theater I was in when they happened. Like it has become such a thing. Which maybe he knows it's a thing and he's just doing it to piss people off, because I could see him doing that too. But yeah, I can't believe it's been this long since it's been a female lead. I think he's only had 2 movies, the female lead. Well, I guess I haven't seen Sin City. No, not Sin City. I get Sin City and Death Proof mixed up. But I think Death Proof, that's Kurt Russell. So it's still not female lead. I think just Jackie Brown and Kill Bill, unless you count Uma Thurman as a main character in Pulp Fiction, which I don't.
I mean, she's on the poster very prominently.
She's on the poster,
That's
but it's it's either, what's his face? Why can't I think of either of their names? John Travolta or freaking Die Hard. Bruce Willis. That's it. I feel like those are the 2 main characters. Maybe Samuel Jackson. But Uma Thurman's in like one part of it. But yeah, don't know who the female lead is going to be. Probably not Uma Thurman. Just gonna say that. I think Uma Thurman's not talking to Tarantino anymore. Ever since I think it came out around the Me Too stuff that like Uma Thurman was like, yeah, Tarantino never like assaulted me, but he did force me to get into a car accident on the set of Kill Bill 2. So
yeah.
and you can still see that scene. It's in the movie. They cut out the part where she crashed her car and wasn't able to walk for like a while, but I think it's right in the beginning of Kill Bill 2. It's like black and white and she's like going down. She's like the camera's right on her as she's in a car driving down the road. I believe that's the scene where like she couldn't see anything. Like the windshield was like had this like film on it so that it wouldn't reflect into the camera, and there was a giant camera in front of the car and she was actually driving. Usually,
For some reason.
yeah. A little tip to any aspiring movie makers: don't actually drive.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing something like that, well, I mean, most studios now just do it on a soundstage. But if you want it to be real, what you do is you just tow a car, and then you can, the person who's, actually driving is in the truck in front. And then the people in the car can pretend like they're driving, but the car's in neutral.
Real.
It's what you should do, and it's what Tarantino should have done in Kill Bill 2, because that surely was already a practice in the 2000s.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't know, but we just know it's going to be a female lead, late 70s Los Angeles, and the movie is going to be called The Movie Critic, which is funny because Tarantino is famously great with movie criticism. And by great, I mean your hypothesis is incorrect. Next question. Or why do you have so much violence in your movies? Because it's fun, Jan. Get it? Which I actually agree with him on that one.
It is, yeah.
He's not always right, but when he's right, yeah, it is fun, Jan. Get it? So, yes, I don't. Tarantino's kind of like Bill Burr, where it's like you don't ask him a stupid question, or a question that he's not going to respond positively to, because he's just gonna shut you down. So I don't know. I'm not saying Tarantino's a good person. He probably isn't.
His movies are fun, though.
His movies are fun.
That's about
That's it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he keeps writing the N-word into his scripts and then having himself play the character that says
Yeah,
the
he
N-word.
like intentionally does that, I think.
It's a little weird. And it was a little different in like Pulp Fiction, because it's the 90s. It's a movie
Still.
that takes place in like the 70s. But and it makes sense for characters to say that in Django.
Oh yeah, Django, it's fine. I just feel like
It's
every
weird.
other movie he shoehorns it in, and then there's always a foot scene, and there's like always
Yes.
just weird that he does.
Yes, I don't know.
They're not like funny motifs either. They're just weird.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I like his movies a lot. It's just he's a hard creator to defend, or even to say like I like his movies, but that has to like come with like 10 asterisks,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's good that he's gonna stop making movies. I don't know. There are moments where it's like I don't believe him, because he is such a. I mean, I feel like he like genuinely loves making movies. Nobody goes this long making like such different movies. Like most of his early stuff was crime, modern day crime stuff, and then he had like a weird anime thing with Kill Bill. He had a Western phase. He made that World War II movie. Then he's made the Hollywood movie. He's making another Hollywood movie. And I know I know it's been like a thing, and he's been very adamant that like I'm only gonna make 10 movies. To the point where his 8th movie was called The Hateful Eight, and the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood poster had the 9th film by Tarantino. So like it's been a thing. But I hope he keeps making movies. But I don't think he's going to. This was probably going to be the last one. So hopefully it's good. You can finally make a definitive list of what's his best thing. It's Django, but, or at least I think it's Django. I know a bunch of idiots are going to say it's Pulp Fiction, and I hate you. Stop it. So there you go. That's the Tarantino stuff. Let's talk about the Oscars, huh?
Yay.
Hooray. First thing that was announced, or whatever, the first award handed out was animated film. They actually switched up the order. Yeah, I don't know why, but I think it was animated, and then they did like the supporting actor and actress, and then they did like a bunch of the technical side, and then they did writing, and then lead actors, and then best picture. I think that's how it went. So animated film, this category was stacked. I think the weakest one I saw in here was the Pixar one, which was surprising. But it's Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. Honestly, if Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, or Puss in Boots 2 won, like, those are all... I think I have all of those at 4.5 stars or above. Like, they are all fantastic movies. But Del Toro's Pinocchio did win. I think that is probably deserved. I think the movie took like around over 10 years to make. So yeah, I mean, it seems like it's more of an acknowledgement of the craft than it is anything else. And you know, Guillermo del Toro, the Academy does love del Toro. I mean, they gave his Fish movie the best picture, so they like this guy a lot. I don't get it. Frankly, I think he's a stupid idiot, baby brain bozo. But then we got actor in a supporting role. I was a little bit concerned. Two Banshees of Inisherin things were on here. I was not a huge fan of Banshees of Inisherin. I was kind of thinking it was going to sweep, but it did not. I don't think it got anything, which is really surprising. But actor in a supporting role, we got Ke Huy Quan, who was Wayman and Everything Everywhere. I thought that was very deserved, and I really liked that he got it. But actress in a supporting role, we got to talk about. I think a lot of people were upset because, well, I wasn't necessarily upset that Jamie Lee Curtis was nominated.
Yeah, but I think winning it was
It's an issue. I mean, she also won the Golden Globe for the same role, but Stephanie Hsu wasn't nominated for the Golden Globe, which is probably worse.
Yeah.
Like, not nominating Stephanie Hsu, but instead nominating Jamie Lee Curtis, who
She might have had the best like role in that movie. Honestly. Like,
I would say
acting
that she did
performance.
the best performance for
Yeah.
sure. But so she was nominated, but they gave the award to Jamie Lee Curtis, which I feel like some of this is probably, I mean, all of this is probably award show politics, where it's like, Jamie Lee Curtis has been in the game for like 50 years and she hasn't gotten an award like this before. We should probably give it to her. But then like Stephanie Hsu's like relatively new. I think like this was her first big thing. I think she was in that Miss Maisel show before. But I feel like this is her big breakout role, which I think would have been a great, way to start her career. I think she's fantastic. But no, they gave it to Jamie. I honestly I think people are upset because they think that either Stephanie Hsu should have got it or Angela Bassett should have got it for Black Panther. I haven't seen Black Panther, but it's a Marvel movie, so it probably isn't that good. Right?
I mean, a character can be very good in a movie without the movie being good.
That's true. I just feel
I
like
feel like
nobody
she
talks
probably
about
had
that
more of an
movie.
impact in a film than Jamie
I'm
Lee
sure.
Curtis in this one.
She probably did. She probably did. So yeah, it's a weird one, but whatever. Yeah, I'm not really gonna go over everything, but Everything Everywhere swept. I believe it got 7 Oscars total, followed by All Quiet on the Western Front, I believe. Got 4, and then like all of the other movies that won only got one. So it was a very like, it was either everything got it, All Quiet on the Western Front got it, or like some other movie got one. So it's a little odd. But you know, I'm not upset that Everything Everywhere got all of the awards it did, because I feel like this is a turning point in how movies are going to go from here on out. I feel like Everything Everywhere is going to be the Spider-Verse for like, I don't want to say just movies, but like Spider-Verse has had such an impact on especially animated movies in like the past 5 years. I feel like every movie is going to try to do what Everything Everywhere did.
I hope not, because nobody's gonna be able to do it good, because this was a multiverse movie that was actually good.
Yeah. I mean, like, you might be able to, like, what I hope this is going to be, like, and I've heard people compare it to Pulp Fiction, which is, like, I kind of see, because, like, Pulp Fiction came out and then, like, everybody was doing non-linear movies. So, like, maybe if you want to start, like, making movies about millennial existentialism, sure. But also, like, that movie is so creative. And, like, the Daniels themselves, like, I feel like they're going to be like a creative force that like people should really be keeping an eye on. Like, I haven't seen Swiss Army Man, which is the movie they made right before this, but I've heard that that movie is like just as weird as Everything is. So I probably should, but like, I don't know. It feels like that they're going to keep innovating and keep making these movies that are so out there, and touching on topics that are like, I don't know, they needed to be talked about. Like, I don't know, the freaking rock scene. Like, I have not been able to stop thinking about that since it came out. So I feel like they're gonna keep going. Everyone else is gonna be catching up, which is I feel like you could probably say that about, if I was like a movie watcher in like 1993, around the time that Pulp Fiction came out, I would have been like, oh, Tarantino's going to keep making stuff. And then he made Jackie Brown, which is just kind of like Pulp Fiction, but worse. In my opinion, I know there's some Jackie Brown stands out there. But yeah, it's just like, it won editing. The Daniels won for directing. I don't think, did it win editing? It should have won. Yeah, it did win editing. Did it win production design? Oh, that's All Quiet. Sound is Top Gun, I guess. I was gonna say visual effects, but I guess Avatar does kind of deserve visual effects.
Yeah.
I guess. And then it won original screenplay. Which, I mean, good. I feel like everything here is deserved. Then actor in a leading role was Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Very deserved, I feel. I think if anyone like in this panel deserved it, like of all the people that were nominated, like I really like Colin Farrell, and I think he did a great job in Banshees of Inisherin. But like, man, Brendan Fraser just has that, like, it's such a good comeback story, you know. Everybody loves a good comeback story, so it's nice to see him win. And then actress, of course, was Michelle Yeoh from Everything Everywhere. I think some people are upset about Kate Blanchett and Tar. I haven't seen Tar. I probably should, but I've heard that this is like maybe the best performance of her career. Which, if we're talking about Kate Blanchett, then that means it's going to be like phenomenal. So, you know, maybe. But I thought that Michelle Yeoh also did great in Everything Everywhere. So I don't know. I'm not upset here. But I think that does make, this is the first time that a single studio has won all acting awards, because The Whale is also a A24 movie. So that's kind of interesting. It's also the A24 is the first studio to win every major Oscar category, which I guess if one movie sweeps, that's not that hard to do. But I guess, Brendan Fraser winning for lead in The Whale, that doesn't hurt. And then, of course, Everything Everywhere won Best Picture. So I was very happy about that. As I was I wasn't watching it live, but as I was seeing the awards coming in and I was seeing everything win everything, I'm like, oh boy, they're gonna give it to something. They're gonna give it to Banshees, or they're gonna give it to Avatar 2 or something. I don't know. But no, they gave it to everything, so I think all is right in the world. So, yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think that this Oscar season was pretty good. The Jamie Lee Curtis thing is the one thing. It's that's questionable. But Natu Natu from RRR winning Best Original Song is awesome. I love that. And I've been seeing people from India. I forget what region it is. I know the language is Telugu. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. But I've been seeing people from that area being I remember, nobody knowing that my language even existed, and here it is being performed on the Oscars and winning an Oscar. It's that's really cool. I like that a lot. Also, the performance of the song for the Oscars is also really good. It's not the people from the movie, unfortunately. I don't know if they had issues flying them out or something, but they got 2 other people to dance in their stead. And I don't think the people singing were the people from the movie either. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty good. Pretty decent, I would say. So that's it for the Oscars. Yeah, I feel like this podcast has been going on for a really long time. So I'll keep my movie discussion very, very short with the movies I watched. There wasn't a gimmick this week. I just pressed random, and then it sent me a movie to watch. So the first movie I watched was Westworld, which I didn't know was a movie. I thought it was just a show, but I guess the show is based on the movie. It's a really, really good premise for a movie. And as soon as the premise was explained in the first 2 minutes, I'm like, oh yep, this is awesome. This is really, really good sci-fi. But basically it's there's a company that is an entertainment company, like a Disney or something. But they have this vacation package where there's 3 historical places that you can go to, and it feels like you've gone back in time, where you can go to there's medieval world where you can live in a castle and be a lord or something, or you can go to Roman world and have it looked like it was just kind of a big orgy, which is probably what it was like to live in Rome. Or you can live in Westworld, yeah, which is, you live in the Old West. And so then but instead of what Disney does where they cast a bunch of people to play all these characters, they have robots that take their stead, and you can actually kill them. You can't kill the people who work at Disney, unfortunately. I've tried, but you can't do that. It is against the law, but you can kill robots. And so each of the guns that they hand you go to Westworld, they get you an outfit, they get you a gun, and the guns have sensors in them. So if you point it at a warm-blooded person and try to shoot, then you can't kill them. So that's you can't accidentally kill another guest with these guns because there's that fail-proof. But you can just shoot up any robot you want, and then that there's no There's no consequences. It's your vacation, baby. If you want to be an outlaw, you can do that. If you want to be a sheriff, you can do that. And like 80% of the movie is just like, what would it be like to vacation in a place where robots are there and you can feel like you're back in time? And then like the last 20 minutes is like, okay, robots break down and now it's a scary movie. Which is pretty scary. But yeah, I mean it's pretty good. It's definitely like it's 70s. I'm like 90% sure. So like right around like the time where like heady sci-fi was like becoming a thing. Or not like becoming a thing, but it was definitely becoming popularized. Where like Star Trek came out, and then like I know a bunch of like it was like Philip K. Dick. I feel like he was around at that time, making these like really heady sci-fi stuff. So it's definitely an idea from that era. So it's pretty good. I recommend it. It's definitely a good flick, especially if you're into that kind of stuff, which I'm not usually, but this is it was just unique enough. I'm like, this is really good. Maybe you want to check out the show. Unfortunately, it's not on HBO Max anymore. Ain't that a thing?
Did they take it off?
From what I could tell, it's a very star-studded show. Like to the point where like Anthony Hopkins, I think, plays like the sheriff or something. So like it's got like a bunch of like huge name people in it. And I think it got too expensive for HBO to keep paying royalties to everybody, so they just took it off.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure it was probably in the whole, removing all our own things from HBO Max debacle that happened last year. So, can't even watch the show if I wanted to, unless I wanted to buy the DVDs, and I don't want to, because I might not like the show. So, whoops. But the movie's pretty good, and that's still on HBO Max, so it kind of worked out, I guess. So, there you go. The second movie I watched, I just realized I watched 2 movies that became TV shows, which I guess that's the gimmick. But the second movie I watched was Tales from the Crypt, which of course was the movie, it's a kids horror show, right? Like Goosebumps or something. Tales from the Crypt, with the Crypt Keeper. Yeah, but this isn't like that at all. This movie is pretty bad. So it's based on some, I think they're EC comics. I don't think they're DC comics, which I think EC comics are just entertainment comics. So you know that they're from like the 20s or something, because nothing past like the 50s would be called entertainment comics. But yeah, it's a bunch of short anthologies. This is probably one of the first horror anthologies, which are kind of like a mainstay these days. But yeah, it's just 5 people are on like a tour of the catacombs, or I guess a crypt, some would say. And they get separated from their group, and then they end up in a place where there's a spooky man in a brown robe who tells them how they die. And so then it's just 5 little stories about all 5 of these people who die, and you get to see why. But then the end, spoiler, it's revealed that they're all in purgatory, and it's not showing how they will die, but it's how they did die, which I guessed after the second one. Someone probably guessed after the guy explained what was going to happen. But, yeah, so, yeah, it's how they did die, and they're in purgatory, and they're all going to go to hell. They just, I guess Satan or Jesus or whatever wanted to let these people know why they were going to go to hell before he sent them to hell. So he showed them little flashbacks in the form of a 70s television movie of how they died, and it's very scary. It's not at all. And I would say only one person really deserved to be there. No, maybe there's two two people really deserve to be there. There was one story. This guy made me so mad. He should have went to super hell. I should probably point out that this movie is British, because this
Ew.
yeah, it is pretty. It does it gets one less star because of that one. But this guy, he's in like a real nice neighborhood in some British suburb. I don't know. And it's like a really nice neighborhood, except there's
Tottenham.
what?
Tottenham.
Yeah, it's probably in Tottenham. It's real hoity-toity. Everybody's got a big old house, but then there's this one guy who's got like a kind of crummy house, and he has like a bunch of dogs, and he like works at a like a scrap, not like a scrap yard. He just like works at the dump or whatever. But like the city wants to like buy his house, and so that they can tear it down and like build a nice house there so that it doesn't ruin the neighborhood. But the guy's like, I've lived here for 50 years. Me and my wife lived here. She's dead. And she died in this house. And so when I finally go, I want to go in this house too. So the guy's like, I know. We'll just like get this guy to kill himself so that we can buy his house and then destroy it and make this a nice neighborhood. But the thing is that this guy is like beloved. Like, all of the kids in the neighborhood love going to this guy because he works at the dump and he just like finds all these old toys that people are throwing out and he cleans them and he like refurbishes them and then he gives them to the kids, and the kids like, yo, this guy's super rad. Like, he's pretty awesome. He's just giving me all this free stuff. And he like gives us like lemonade and stuff. It's pretty sick. And this was before that was creepy. So I guess, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why everyone was cool just having their kids go to this old man's house all the time, but I guess, I don't know, maybe that's an English thing. Maybe there's a cultural divide here. So then he's like, I know. I'll call animal control and tell them that he doesn't have a license, so he can't have his dogs. So then the cops come and then they take his dogs away, and he's like, oh, I'm super sad. But at least I still have all these kids that I love, and I love helping the kids. This sounds really bad, but he's a nice guy. And then the guy's like, I know. The evil man's like, I know. I will have a meeting with all of the parents, and I'll tell them that he's like a sex offender and that they shouldn't have their kids talk to this guy. And so then they do that, and then all the parents tell their kids, and then the kids don't come around, and he's just like, oh, well, now I'm really lonely and sad. Okay. And then Valentine's Day comes around, and then the evil man's like, I know. I'm going to send this guy a Valentine from everybody in the neighborhood, but every single Valentine is going to tell this guy to kill himself. And so then the guy reads all these Valentines. He gets like all these
It's
Valentines.
just Twitter.
It's so mean because this guy is just shown to be like the nicest guy. And so he's just like, oh, I got all these Valentines, and he's like talking to this picture of his dead wife, and he's like, well, you're the only love in my life, but I guess we can open all these Valentines. And he gets 3 cards in before he's utterly devastated and he hangs himself because he's so sad and thinks that just everyone hates him. When it's just this asshole guy who lives across the street that wants to destroy his house because it's slightly an eyesore for him. So he kills himself, and then, and so then the evil guy, destroys the house and puts up a nice one, and it's all good until 1 year later, Valentine's Day comes around, and evil man gets a Valentine that's like, we know what you did, you're a bad boy. And he's like, it's whatever, they don't know. And then the zombied form of the nice man tears his heart out, and he dies. Ooh, scary. Yeah, that was the only time it was like kind of scary because like the zombie makeup was actually pretty. I don't want to say pretty good because like they just had like the guy they made like a zombie mask and then they like made a guy like wear a balaclava inside out so like the eye holes were just like black but you could see like the cloth. So it didn't look like they were like empty eye sockets. It just looked like a mask. But it was kind of creepy, I guess. The zombie mask was pretty good. All the other ones were just kind of lame. But I'm not gonna go over all of them because whatever, it doesn't matter. But the ending of the movie is fantastic because I think the bad guy who killed this guy on Valentine's Day, he like walks out of the cave and he's like, "Why is it so bright?" And then he's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna go to hell." And then like there's this it's horrible green screen of this guy falling into hell. It's bad. The movie's almost worth watching just to see this like really bad green screen effect of this guy falling into hell. It's almost like The Amazing Bulk. It feels like that level of green screen technology where like they're just they just like shot him and he's like, "Oh no." And then they like made him fall. It's really bad. So I wouldn't say I recommend Tales from the Crypt, but I would recommend Westworld. So those are my movie recommendations for the week. I also rewatched Spider-Verse, but I mean, yeah, obviously I recommend that one. So there you go. That's my segment of the podcast. The podcast is already an hour and a half long, but it's my segment. Let's move on over to the music part, huh?
Buckle up, because we're gonna have a whole 45 minutes more,
Oh
baby.
no.
I only have one thing to talk about.
Oh, okay, good.
Um, uh, Peggy and Danny Brown officially announced the collab album. I guess all of this happened in a week. "Scaring the Hose" is the title.
Perfect.
The cover is fantastic. It's like a '70s blaxploitation cover. It's amazing. Yeah, so this is coming out March 24th, so same day as Black. We're gonna have a lot of a lot of new reactions coming. So we're gonna be backed up a little bit on like regular content, but I'm excited for all the albums that are coming out. But they did have a single this week, "Lean Beef Patty." It is absolutely insane. It sounds like one of those memes where it's like, this is what a JPEG Mafia song sounds like, and it's just like random samples and voice clips. That's just what this song sounds like. It's absolute chaos. It's amazing. There was a mixing issue on Danny Brown's vocals when it first came out. Like, he was so quiet, the beat was just like you could not understand what he was saying. But the mix, I think, is fixed now, so it's pretty great. It's like not even 2 minutes long, but it's pretty sick. All of the track listing on this album is just fantastic. I mean, the every single song is just a masterpiece. So I'm excited for this one. This is gonna be really fun.
Wait, is the album cover Trump and Kim Jong Un?
No, but that's what he posted on Twitter. That's also a goated album cover.
Oh my god, this doesn't look like a black exploitation
No, no, no,
movie.
no, no. That's still a funny cover though.
Yeah, I would like that. Yeah.
They did merch too, and the merch is fantastic. The vinyl is like way too expensive for a single LP, but the cover of it is literally just like the screenshot on Twitter. It's like JPEG Mafia has blocked you. So
Well,
merch is great. You can also get the album on a mini USB stick that is shaped like a desert eagle, so that's pretty cool. Yeah,
nice.
they kind of went all out for this. So I think it's gonna be like a fun kind of like collab album. I know he's doing 3 albums this year, so I think the fun one's first,
Yeah,
or the most
hopefully.
fun one. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure we'll be reacting to that eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I think that was the main thing this week that caught my eye, at least. I think that's it.
There was a new Black song, but I didn't listen to it.
Yeah, I'm just waiting until we listen to it
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. It's probably the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it. Well, that was an enlightening and fun podcast, I would say.
True.
Watch Everything Everywhere. Watch The Last of Us. Watch Westworld, the movie. Not the TV show. I can't speak to how good the TV show is. It probably is really bad. That's why HBO got rid of it. And listen to the new JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown collab album coming out next week. Or you can wait for our reaction, which I would probably recommend.
Then you'll hear like 1/3 of the album.
Which is probably the best way to listen to new music, I would say.
True. Just like have us cut it up for you.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't think we have anything to look forward to, especially next week. I don't think.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, bye.